All right, welcome to the Explainer. Let's jump right in and unpack a pretty fascinating paradox happening over in the Golden State's real estate market. Now, if you just casually scroll through the headlines, you'd probably think the California housing market is this unstoppable juggernaut, right? But when we actually dig into the data, a much more complicated and frankly split reality starts to emerge. We're looking at a market that is quite literally tearing itself in two, creating this scenario that has economists and everyday residents seriously concerned. $914,810. Yep, you heard that right. According to the latest numbers from the California Association of Realtors, in April, California's median home price climbed to that staggering, record-breaking high. It jumped 2.9% from just the month prior, crossing that massive $900,000 threshold for the very first time since May of 2022. And get this, sales of existing single-family homes actually went up too, 3.9% from March and 4.1% compared to a year ago. That's the largest year-over-year increase in 7 months. Honestly, if you stop reading the data right there, it sounds like a classic absolute boom. But here is a mystery we really need to solve today. If the market is so incredibly hot and prices are peaking like this, how on earth can a housing market be booming while a historic number of residents are just packing up their bags and leaving the state entirely? I mean, it seems to totally defy the basic laws of supply and demand. To really understand what's going on, we have to look past that flashy statewide median price and figure out exactly who is doing the buying and who is doing the selling in this completely unique environment. Okay, let's get into section 1, the luxury real estate boom, high-end market activity. So, as you can see, the California market isn't exactly growing organically. It is fundamentally split. On the high end, sales of homes priced at $2 million or more jumped by a massive 8.4%. But on the flip side of that divide, everyday buyers are feeling an unbelievable affordability crunch. To put it in perspective, broad statewide home sales have been stuck below 300,000 for 43 straight months. So the overall volume is super low, but those luxury sales are completely skewing the state's median price upward. Basically, the rich are propping up the market while your average buyers are just benched on the sidelines. And this top-heavy surge, it's happening in very specific, concentrated pockets. Up in the far north region, we saw an astonishing 24.6% increase in sales. The Central Valley posted a 10.1% bump, and Southern California home sales rose 8% annually. So even with mortgage rates still elevated and all the global uncertainty going on, buyers and sellers who actually have the cash are clearly still making moves in these distinct areas. Now, to really wrap your head around how wild the top end is right now, let's look at the San Francisco Bay Area. They posted one of the state's strongest overall sales increases. The county of San Francisco itself saw median home prices jump 19.5% year over year to over $2.1 million. Just let that sink in for a second. Over $2 million just for the median home. It's a level of wealth changing hands that completely distorts the reality of the California economy for the average person. But Chief Economist Jordan Levine offers us a really vital reality check here. He notes that housing affordability remains a significant challenge, and he's spot on. Just because a bigger slice of expensive mansions are changing hands absolutely doesn't mean the broader market is built on solid ground. A market that leans this heavily on luxury sales is incredibly top-heavy. It's missing that bedrock, foundational support of first-time homebuyers and middle-class families trading up. And historically, that middle-class movement has always been the key to a healthy, sustainable real estate ecosystem. Which brings us to Section 2, the affordability crisis, the everyday squeeze. Because beyond just the housing market, everyday residents are getting crushed by a cost of living squeeze across the board. The California Policy Lab crunched these numbers, and honestly, they're tough to look at. Californians are paying 11% more for groceries, 40% more for gas, and an eye-watering 61% more for utilities than the national average. When you combine this sky-high daily cost of living with an exploding luxury housing market, it creates a total vice grip on the middle class. There is virtually zero room left in the monthly budget to save up for a home down payment. Now, normally, everyday buyers would just look to traditionally cheaper inland areas for some relief, right? Well, that escape hatch is pretty much closed. In Placer County, the median home price hit $675,000. Down in Sacramento County, it's at $546,420. And when you factor in the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate, which was sitting at 6.33% in April, buyers still need a massive six-figure household income just to comfortably afford the monthly payments in these quote-unquote cheaper areas. There's literally nowhere left to hide from these costs. And all that pressure brings us to this absolutely staggering figure, 150,000. In 2023 alone, nearly 150,000 times more people left California than moved into the state. And this isn't just a temporary blip. It's continuing a years-long trend of domestic outmigration that is tied directly to these overwhelming affordability concerns. The everyday workers, the middle class, the folks completely priced out of both the luxury boom on the coast and the price surges inland, they're voting with their moving trucks. Let's look at exactly what that means in Section 3, Golden State Exodus, fleeing the costs. So when these everyday Californians pack up and leave the state, they are dramatically cutting their cost of living. We're seeing a massive, steady migration to lower-cost states like Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Tennessee. And the financial relief they find over the state line is basically immediate. Median home prices in these new neighborhoods are nearly $396,000 less expensive. Rents are roughly 30% lower. Across the board, their housing costs average $672 cheaper every single month. I mean, for a family that's been feeling squeezed at the grocery store and the gas pump, that level of housing relief is a total game changer. To put a human face on all these stats, check out this quote from Matt Ingalls. He's a 41-year-old former resident who moved his family of 4 out to Dripping Springs, Texas. This really grounds the macroeconomic numbers in a relatable human decision. He says, "My quality of life here is significantly better, but that's more than just finances." And he hits the nail on the head. It's about less stress, having a bit more space, and actually getting to enjoy the fruits of your labor without feeling like you're constantly being penalized by an unaffordable local economy. Sure, things might be looking up for the individuals who leave, but the consequence of this domestic outmigration for California itself is incredibly severe. According to IRS data, California lost over $91.4 billion in net income between 2019 and 2023. Think about that for a second. That is taxable income, local spending power, and economic momentum literally walking out the door. When the middle class leaves to find a more affordable life somewhere else, they take their wallets with them, and it drains the local economy of billions of dollars. So with the everyday buyer increasingly priced out and fleeing for more affordable states, we are left with this final incredibly critical question. Can a housing market truly survive, let alone thrive, on high-end luxury sales alone? If the foundation of everyday working-class buyers completely erodes away, what happens when those wealthy luxury buyers inevitably decide they're done trading spaces? It's a wildly precarious balancing act for the Golden State right now, and the data strongly suggests that sooner or later something has got to give. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.